Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on the United show today, Devil's Advocate, and today this is the Manchester United versus Fulham pre-match show. So I'm just going to come in here this evening. I'm just going to join you to talk about all things Manchester United here today, as we are leading up to our first game back with fans here today in the penultimate game in the Premier League for Manchester United. Look, I think today is kind of a momentous day for all Man United fans. Look, it's the first time in 426 days that Manchester United fans have been allowed back into Old Trafford. So for United fans today, look, it's a special occasion for the 10,000 or so United fans who are going to be in Old Trafford today. Look, the lineups have been announced as well. So Man United have gone with a really strong team, and we'll touch on that in a moment. So I'm going to come to the first couple of comments here in this live stream now. As always, Rory's in the house. Rory says, even from a very sunny Edinburgh. Do you know what? It was raining all day here where I'm living here in Ireland, in Clonmel, and it's actually clearing up now. Though the sun is out and it's not raining anymore, so it's a nice weather over here. Matt Brown is in the house again, as always. Matt says, evening. Victoria's Secrets is also in the house, says, howdy, folks. How you going this evening? But yeah, like, look, I think when you look at today, like today's a massive game for United today. Obviously, when you look from the last kind of 3-4 games, we've been on a bit of a losing run. Even now, albeit you look at it, top four is already sewn up, second place more or less confirmed. But like you look at today, like it's massive when you consider we have a Europa League final coming up next week in Gdansk, and we need to gain some momentum, back in terms of our form going into next week. So I'm actually, I'm pretty happy that Ollie's went with a strong team today, because momentum is massively important in terms of developing form going into the next game. But yeah, I look at certain players playing today. Obviously, David De Gea starting in goal today is a massive shout by Ollie. I think that shout for David De Gea starting in goal today probably indicates he's probably going to start the Europa League final. Because I think today, when you look at the two games we've left today against Fulham and the weekend against Wolves, Ollie will want to win today to get the team back in confidence and get that winning feeling kind of back in leading up to Thursday, like next Wednesday's final. I think you look at Sunday against Wolves, he's after calling up a couple of the kids to the first team squad. So you think maybe the likes of Shortire, likes of Elanga, the likes of Hannibal, these players will probably get a call up on Sunday. You'd like to think the likes of Van de Beek, Alex Telles and all them will start on Sunday as well. And so, look, I think when you take all these things into consideration, Ollie was right to go with a strong team today in terms of his team selection coming into today's game. Obviously, I think the biggest talking point we have kind of coming into today's game is the return of fans. The last time we had fans in Old Trafford was March 2020, when we played the Manchester Derby, and Scott McTominay scored the last kick of the game from more or less just from the halfway line on Ederson, and that was the last moment we had in Old Trafford with fans there. And just kind of want to touch on that moment, that moment when McTominay scored and the United fans, the atmosphere was absolutely electric. Absolutely electric. It was one of the best atmospheres in Old Trafford I heard in quite some time. Obviously, before that, we haven't had that atmosphere there for over a year now. But you look at that atmosphere that day, that was just unbelievable. And it felt like at that moment in time, we kind of had our club back. I think when you look at the feeling around the club, we're on good form. Bruno Fernandes was just after signing for United, and it almost felt like at that point in time, that we had our club back, and it was a very wholesome moment. And then you obviously see then after that COVID-19 pandemic happened, obviously when fans were reintroduced kind of at the tail end of last year, Manchester was still like in tier 1 lockdown. They didn't have the chance. We didn't have the chance, nor us or Manchester City, even though they don't have any fans anyway. But like the two Manchester clubs didn't have a chance to introduce fans back to the stadium. Whereas today, massive occasion. And now, obviously, there's people on social media like saying, don't go to Old Trafford, don't go to the games. I think that's absolutely ludicrous. If you have a season ticket, and you're a season ticket holder and you're going to a game, if you give away that season ticket, someone else from overseas, someone else in the UK, someone else is going to take that season ticket. And people pay their hard-earned money to get these season tickets. So for people to say, don't go to this game, boycott the game, I think that's too far, in my opinion. Obviously, look, when we're talking about getting the Glazers out, you need to hit the Glazers where it hurts. You need to hit them in the pockets. You need to hit the sponsors. Like if you go to Old Trafford, you can still go to the games. Don't buy anything in the mega store. Don't buy any food or drinks there. Don't do any of that. Do you know what I mean? Don't buy anything in the stadium, such as match programs, stuff like that. All these things add up. Like in terms of that, like not going to the game is different because you want to watch and support your team. Like you can still go to Old Trafford, wear your green and gold scarf, and still support Manchester United, and you still don't have to really give the Glazers money at all when you attend the game. So, with that being said, I think when people talk about asking fans to boycott games, I think not everyone's going to think the same. Not everyone's going to have the same feeling with regards to that. So, I'm in complete disagreement with that. In that respect. It's going to come to a couple of other comments here. Victoria's Secret says, hopefully Matt gets a few minutes tonight in what could be his last appearance at Old Trafford. Yeah, look, if we're winning the game, and about 20 minutes, half an hour to go, by all means, yeah, 100% give one Matt a game, let him have his swan song. Because look, 10,000 fans at Old Trafford. No, it's not 76, but yeah, it's good to see him get a swan song. Reese says in the comments as well, good evening, Reese. He says, win this game, rest the big players versus Wolves, and mean this game if we win tonight. Absolutely. I said this on the preview a couple of days ago. I said, go out, put more or less the first team out. Obviously, rest Rashford, which we did. I'll name out the lineup in a minute. But so rest Rashford, more or less play the first team and go out and win the game. Consolidate second place, and then play the kids against Wolves, away at Wolves at Molineux. Invaluable experience with some of them players. So 100%, I think, win this game, win it early. By all means, win it early, get a couple of goals in the first half, kill the game, get the likes of Bruno off, give Matt a game, give Amad Diallo a game for the likes of, Cavani, push Greenwood up front, give Donny van de Beek a game if he can, give him a first game in front of fans. Maybe that drives his hunger to maybe play a bit better. So yeah, absolutely. Go out and win the game first and foremost. Then let's get the players on. James is also in the house. Good evening, James. I hope you're well. And Reese says here, hopefully fans give a better atmosphere than the Chelsea fans did from the cup final. Yeah, look, I thought the atmosphere at the cup final was actually quite good, Reese. I'll disagree with that. Matt Brown says, imagine hearing the Cavani song. Yeah, look, I tweeted this out this morning. I'd love Edison Cavani today to score in front of the Stretford end. Everyone starts singing, give it to Eddie Cavani. That would be unbelievable. That would absolutely, just be sensational. In that regard. Come to more comments. Rory says here in the comments, Keane, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a little bit nervous about tonight. Look, I think you look at this game, Fulham have no pressure on them tonight coming to Old Trafford. They're obviously already relegated. There's going to be, when you look at it, there's going to be a couple of players fighting to keep their contracts at Fulham because they're going to be going down to the Championship, which means less revenue, which means they're going to have to, fight for their place at the football club if they want to stay. Because there's maybe some of them players, like Fulham will most likely go back up, so they'll want to stay there to do that next season. So 100%. Trevor is also in the comments. Trevor says, evening Keane, tonight would have been a good time for Van de Beek to start, but no, same old story. Look, I think you look at the Donny Van de Beek situation, he probably could have played tonight, probably could have dropped one of McTominay and Fred, but again, I don't think Van de Beek, when you play Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in the same team, Donny Van de Beek is not going to start. I said this all season, he's a victim of them two playing so well this year. I think that's the thing. If Paul Pogba left the football club last summer, Donny Van de Beek would have got a lot more game time. But Pogba's committed this season and he's played fantastically well. So that's why Donny hasn't played. And when Donny has played, he's got a couple of starts in recent weeks. And let's be honest here, he hasn't done the best. I love him. I think he should stay at the football club and get a chance. But when he's got a chance this season in games he has started, he hasn't pulled up trees. Now, when you actually you can look at that for a perspective of, yes, when you don't get many minutes, match fitness sometimes won't be there, match sharpness, you know what I mean? But when you're a quality player that he's meant to be, £40 million, when you're playing against teams lower down in the table, you would expect Donny Van de Beek to maybe you would maybe expect him to play that bit better. Do you know what I mean? So look, I think from my point of view, I would look at this and say, next season is a big one for Donny Van de Beek, especially if we get a defensive midfield player next season. It frees up 2 midfield positions next year. And you won't have to play McTominay and Fred to compensate for the lack of defensive midfielder. If we go back to 4-3-3, what Ollie was playing at the start of his tenure, then by all means, Donny will play more games because there's 2 attacking midfield slots in midfield that need to be filled up. Bruno's obviously going to fill up one of them. Pogba may fill up the other, but they're not going to play every week. There's going to be times where you're going to need to rotate with that formation. And that's why Donny will be get more game time next year. I strongly believe he will. Because when you look at Juan Mata's leaving the football club, you look at Nemanja Matic, is he going to stay this summer? So I think you have to look at it and say, I think we need to be patient with Donny Van de Beek. And let's hope next season he gets more game time. But I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it, because if this is a situation where Donny Van de Beek wasn't playing games and we are 5th or 6th in the table, then it will be a cause for concern. But when you look at the bigger picture, we're 2nd in the league and he hasn't been playing much game time. The bigger picture is Manchester United's form. We've been in good form for a large majority of the season. McTominay and Fred are there because we don't have a defensive midfielder. Donny Van de Beek is not a defensive-minded player. He's an offensive-minded player. He's never going to play in the midfield too. To play a defensive-minded role. The only time that ever really happens if we're going to play a team where we know we're going to have 70 to 65 to 70% possession. But even at that, our centre-back pairing, we probably need a better holding midfielder to play in front of him to give them the protection as well. So I think Donny Van de Beek next year, he will have a bigger impact at the football club next year. And he will get more game time. I just think we need to be patient. Because we've had players this football club who have improved. Paul Pogba came in. He only played well for Spurs, but he needed game time to acclimatise back to the Premier League. You look at Bruno Fernandes, I think he was an unknown commodity. He came in and just tore the league on fire. Donny's not the same type of player as Bruno. He's not a risk taker. Whereas Bruno is. And Bruno is a lot superior number 10 than he is. And Paul Pogba on that left-hand side is a lot more mobile. He's stronger. He's more direct. Them two players just suit our system a lot more than Donny Van de Beek does at this moment in time in the current system we're playing. So I think next year, if we do get a hold of the midfield player, expect Donny Van de Beek to play a lot more games next season. But anyway, covered off Donny Van de Beek. I seem to do that nearly on every show anyway. Trevor says, Keane for the X Factor. I don't think so. I do not think so. I don't think I'd be good enough for the X Factor. Aaron Williams is in the comments. Aaron Williams says it's going to be such a close game. I'm saying 2-1. Reese Russell in the comments again, as always. Reese Russell says, I'm going to go 3-1. I want them beaten. I'm going to touch on this next comment. Aaron says in the comments here, what do you think of Bruno Fernandes winning Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year? I'm going to touch on two players with this comment. Take a sip of water first, though, right? When you look at the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year, Bruno Fernandes has been at this football club a year and a half. And he's won the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year twice in a year and a half. That is unbelievable stuff. Like that shows the impact he's had. It's just off the scale, off the charts. Now, I hope he gets a couple of goals today, because if he can break a 30-goal season as a midfield player, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And he helped us win the Europa League, and he wins the Euros of Portugal. I'm telling you now, talk of Ballon d'Or won't be nonsense. It would be truth. 100%. But yeah, look, he's just a world-class footballer. He epitomises what a Manchester United player should be. Have desire, work rate, quality, arrogance. That's what Bruno Fernandes is. He has all them traits and then some. He's probably when you look at post-Sir Alex Ferguson era, he's the best signing post-Sir Alex. Now, people can talk about Paul Pogba. I think if you look at from an impact point of view, Paul Pogba was a class player. I think Bruno Fernandes has been more of a talisman than Pogba has. Like, in his individual season this year has blown Pogba out of the water in terms of what Pogba's done this single season for United. But that's not discrediting Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is a fantastic footballer, but Bruno Fernandes has shown what he gives to this team, and we'd be a lot worse off without Bruno Fernandes. I don't think Ollie would be here if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes. We won't be playing European football this season probably because Bruno Fernandes wasn't here. So I think we have to be grateful. And we have to be, in absolute appreciation of his quality. I'm saying this in a serious way. I'm not saying it because he's my favourite player and people say I spread Bruno propaganda or whatever it may be. Bruno Fernandes has just been top class this season, and he deserves that award. Next player I'm going to move on to is the Players' Player of the Year is Luke Shaw. The redemption story of this player has just been nothing short of sensational. Like, you look at like what happened when Jose Mourinho came in. He came in after that traumatic leg break, and probably the worst manager you could probably have coming back from a traumatic injury. Like, I've been injured before, but never to the extent of like Luke Shaw was. And when you're injured, you kind of want reassurance. You want someone to wrap an arm around you and tell you, look, everything's going to be okay. You're going to come back fitter and stronger. Mourinho didn't do that. Mourinho was slagging him for being overweight. Mourinho, like when Shaw used to play well, Mourinho used to come out and say in press conferences and interviews that he played the game for Luke Shaw. Them type of comments are absolutely ludicrous and disrespectful. Like, when you look at Luke Shaw this season, and even last season, I'd say, like last season he was quite consistent as well. Look at Luke Shaw in the last 2 years. He's really shown why United paid 30 million for him at a young age from Southampton. Like, he's really shown that, and I think he can even. I think there's levels he can still actually reach. Do you know what I mean? I think he can naturally get better as a left back, and even maybe later on in his career, I think he can move into a centre back role. I really do. I think he's that intelligent as a defender. So he's a really good player. Like, left centre back in the three, I think 100%. When he loses his legs, though, when he hits 31, 32 later on in his career, he can definitely slot into a back three if he needed to. We've seen it already at this age. So the evolution of Luke Shaw is going to continue. And the final thing I want to touch on with Luke Shaw, isn't it quite appropriate that in Mourinho's last ever loss as Tottenham Hotspur boss, Luke Shaw had one of the best games he had in the Manchester United shirt. He was absolutely unbelievable that day. So 100% Luke Shaw deserves Players' Player of the Year, and so it's a tremendous redemption story for Luke Shaw, and I'm so happy for him. And I remember we were on a podcast when we used to pre-record these on Zoom, and I talked to one of the Chelsea fans on the podcast, and I said on the show, Luke Shaw was coming into a small bit of form, but he wasn't in the form he was in. And I said, do you think Luke Shaw get a call up back to England. And the fan said, Luke Shaw's England career is over. Well, aren't they wrong? He's probably going to start for England in the Euros. Well, he should start for England in the Euros because, he's England's best left back by a country mile. And Ben Chilwell's obviously very good as well, but Luke Shaw's levels, there's levels, and Luke Shaw is above him in my estimation. And even Sean, who's our London Lowdown host, he thinks Shaw is a better left back as well. Rory says, Keane, did you go for your pre-match walk today? I actually didn't. I didn't go for my pre-match walk today. Simple reason being is my first day off in quite some time. I've literally been working and doing content like non-stop for the last 10, 11 days. So I literally sat down, cleaned the room, rearranged the house a bit. I play FIFA for the day. I'm doing a little career mode at Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga. So I'm doing a little project there. We're all like building up a young team. So I was doing that today to kind of do my pre-match ritual. It's because today's like it's a big game, but it's not one of the massive games. I don't have pre-match anxiety today. I'm actually excited for today's game because fans are back. There's all the little things to be excited about. Bruno Fernandes maybe breaking 30 goals. Like all these things, there's absolutely class. Come to a couple more comments. Aaron says, beating Lampard's best season is a statement. Absolutely. Trevor says, Bruno plays with his heart in his sleeve. He plays with passion. And what I like about that, Trevor, is yes, he does play with his heart in his sleeve. Yes, he has passion, but he has the fucking quality to back it up. And that's like the most important thing here. Like you can play your heart in your sleeve and you can play it passion, and that'll get you so far. But when you have the quality to back it up as well, like that's the perfect player. Do you know what I mean? So 100%. Aaron says Luke Shaw is the best left back in the world this season, in my opinion. Do you know what? You're probably not too wrong. I think the only one that can probably challenge him for that berth at the moment is probably Alphonso Davies. I think he probably have something to say about it. I think Robertson's been good this year, but he hasn't been Shaw level. But yeah, look, it's not a bad shout, to be fair. Trevor says in the comments, Shaw deserves player of the year award 100%. He's not just defensively sound, his forward play is coming on leaps and bounds. Yeah, 100% agree. We all like when Alex Telles came in, we were all delighted saying we have a left back who can cross the ball. But like, look, Luke Shaw's come in, he's improved tenfold. And again, this is exactly what I said. Shaw said himself that Telles signed him, gave him a kick up the hole. Yeah, look, I think when Telles came in, we were all expecting Luke Shaw to get dropped because he had a massive reputation coming from Portugal, from Porto. He's a very good left back. Like I think with Telles, his problem this season, probably similar to Van de Beek. Like he's adjusting to a new league. He's coming to a league with a lot more pace, a lot more defensive responsibility. I think we've seen in spouts kind of Telles is a good left back, but Luke Shaw is levels, man. Like levels. He's just really stepped it up. Reese says, what league am I playing in the FIFA? You heard it. It's called the Bundesliga. I'm trying to bring some respect to the German league. So that's why I'm doing a career mode and watching Gladbach at the moment, Reese. So I'm trying to bring some respect back to that league and make it competitive. Trevor says here in the comments, Keane, I heard you're a wanted man in FIFA career mode like a young Jose Mourinho. Wait, hold on a second. I need to address this now, Trevor. I'm definitely not a Mourinho type. I'm more of a... Who would I be? If you talk about FIFA style of play, Aaron might be able to help me with this because he actually plays FIFA with me. I most definitely would not be a Jose Mourinho type player. But I'd probably would be a Jurgen Klopp style because I like to win the ball back quick and transition and counter attack. So I'd probably be more of a Jurgen Klopp type of FIFA player if you're talking about style of play. But yeah, a young Jose Mourinho did win a lot of trophies, but he also bored the fuck out of us with his football. But yeah, oh, here we go. So Keane, you don't park the bus. I don't. I'm actually a very offensive player. And Aaron contradicts that by saying you love being a defensive striker, so I'd say Mourinho. Yeah, Aaron, look, there's a difference between my pro and Roberto Firmino. I know Roberto Firmino scored 2 goals against United last week, but I score goals nearly every game I play. Firmino scores 1 every couple of months. So Yeah. But I'm going to actually come to starting lineups just in full detail with our starting lineup at the moment. My hay fever is driving me mad, lads. Sorry about that. Dav De Gea in goal. I think, again, that is an indication, I think, for next Wednesday in terms of Europa League final. He's probably going to start in between the sticks. Aaron Wan-Bissaka right back again. Like, you look at that inclusion, I think that speaks for itself. I thought he actually had a very good game against Liverpool. Despite us conceding 4 goals, he was probably the only defender on that game who come out of that game with his head held high. Like, he defended very well. His position was good. Unfortunately, the other 3 defenders were a bit below par in that game. But Aaron Wan-Bissaka did play very well in that game. 2 centre backs, Axel Tuanzebe and Victor Lindelof. For me, I said on the preview that Axel Tuanzebe should start. Was hired by, really did underperform against Liverpool and probably didn't warrant a start. To be brutally honest, thought Tuanzebe played very well against Leicester, very good team. And if Maguire isn't fit for the Europa League final and you're talking about style of play and the way kind of Villarreal play, it's a toss-up between Tuanzebe and Bailly for playing centre-back, but Tuanzebe did play very well. And if you're going on the trajectory of form, Tuanzebe's been playing better than Eric Bailly as of late. So justifiably he gets his start today and maybe puts his name in half of the Europa League final. Now, I hope ligament damage, I don't think Harry Maguire is going to be fit for the final. Like, it's a week away, 8 days away, and he's not out on the training pitch now, and that's ligament damage. So there's not a hope. If he wants to go to Euros, there's not a hope he plays that Europa League final. He's definitely not. Look, I want Harry Maguire to play, but I've had ligament damage in my ankle, and I can tell you now, 2 weeks after it, you're not going to be fully fit. You can probably get injections and you can play, but you're not going to be the same. You're not going to be the same. And it's just simple as that. So I think for me, I'm crossing my fingers and let's hope that our medical staff can work magic and he can be fully fit for next week. But I severely doubt it. And it's a shame because he deserves to play the final. He's been very good this season, Harry Maguire. But look, I think we have enough to win the game anyway. Look, we will have our Europa League final preview next week. That is going to be a big preview. I'm probably going to get all the United contributors from the channel on at one time, so it should be very good. But yeah, then obviously, look, Tuanzebe's partnered by Victor Lindelof. Again, justifies his selection. I think, he's been playing well this season. I think when you look at kind of this season, I think he's come on. I think he's when you compare August, September, Lindelof wasn't playing great, but since then he's actually been more consistent. So I think obviously when you look at United, we do need probably a better centre back than Victor Lindelof if you want to win the Premier League and want to challenge. But I think when you look at other areas, I think defensive midfield is probably more important to strengthen in the summer. I think we're probably only going to sign about 2 players, and it's probably going to be defensive midfield and right wing by the looks things. So we may have to stick with Maguire and Lindelof next season. Left back Luke Shaw, again, selection justifies itself. I got the midfield 2 wrong in my preview. I said that we get Matic and Pogba in midfield today. We've gone with McFred. Next player. Now we've Mason Greenwood on the right. Then we Bruno Fernandes in the number 10 role. Again, he has the opportunity to break 30 goals today. Because I think, look, he's probably not going to play. He's probably not going to play against Wolves on the weekend. So if he can get 2 goals, a goal today and maybe a goal in the Europa League final, look, I think 30 goals, sensational season. Win the Europa League, win the Euros, Ballon d'Or. Just give it to the man. Obviously, then we have Mason Greenwood on the right, Bruno Fernandes in 10, Paul Pogba on the left-hand side. Again, I would like to see Paul Pogba being through the middle today, to be quite honest. But, at the same time, look, there's he's been playing very well off that left-hand side in the advanced role, and that's where he's probably going to play in Europa League finals. So look, I can get Ollie's thinking on that. I'm not going to take a sensationalist point of view here and start saying, Ollie out, why is he starting Lindelof and why is he starting McFred in the field and why is Paul Pogba playing on the left? That's not my style. I like to say it how it is. Look, Paul Pogba playing on the left, he has been effective there. But look, next season, if we get defensive midfielder, we can play 4-3-3. He'll be the left side of a midfield three. He'll be just as effective from that role, I believe. And then obviously, getting his first start in front of fans is Mr. Edison Cavani. I cannot wait to hear the roar on Sky Sports when he walks out onto that pitch and he can feel the love from all the Manchester United fans and prove why Ollie wanted him to stay. I want to see him get a goal in front of the Stretford end tonight. That would be absolutely sensational. But I have to touch on one thing here since we got the starting lineup out there is Reece Russell, who was in the comments, guys. So he was on the preview a couple of days ago on Sunday. And we made a little bet. If Aaron Wan-Bissaka scores the goal today, Reece Russell has to come on our Europa League final preview. And he has to wear a t-shirt with a big writing marker on the t-shirt that he loves Daniel James. So everyone in the comments, smash a like in the video if you want Reece to come on the channel with a t-shirt saying I love Daniel James. And let's hope Aaron Wan-Bissaka scores that goal so he has to do it live on air, because that would just be sensational. So I think he has a bit of an agenda with Dan James. But yeah, look, I think very strong lineup, very promising. Obviously, look at the bench, like Diallo, Van de Beek, and one Matt on the bench. I think they're probably the three players I like to see come on. Even though I'd love to see Rashford get his 100 career goal today, but I think I'd rather see him get that in Europa League final. That would be a great stage to get the 100 career goal. I think he needs, give him a week off. Just don't even play him today. Don't play Rashford Sunday. And let's get him fully fit and firing for that Europa League final. Yes, he might be playing on the right-hand side in the Europa League final. So fucking what? He's a quality player, and he deserves to be in this team. He's been so important. He's been so important this season, and I love Marcus Rashford, and I'll always back him up. I'll always back him up because he's such a good footballer, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. The current team just keeps producing world-class youth players. Mason Greenwood's ceiling is so high. Marcus Rashford. You look at the likes of Charlie McNeil. You look at the likes of Mason Greenwood. You look at the likes of Hannibal, Shola Short-Here. You look at all these players, like they're all fantastic footballers, all fantastic professionals. And to see them play the way they are, absolutely fantastic. And let's hope Manchester United go out there and get the 3 points. And maybe we can see all these youth players coming back into the squad on Sunday. But guys, that's me. I'm going to wrap it up there. So I want to get upstairs and get ready for the game. I'm going to give a quick score prediction for today's game. I'm going to go 3-0 Manchester United. And that's obviously on the back of the starting lineup. I will go Bruno Fernandes to get a goal, Edison Cavani to get one at the Stretford end in front of all the Manchester United fans. And finally, for the third goal, for my bet to win against Reece Russell, I'm going to go with Aaron Wan-Bissaka scoring a goal today as well. So that's my score prediction for today's game. I hope everyone enjoys the game. I know Rachel from our channel, she's at the game today. I hope she enjoys the game. Owen as well, and whoever else has had the chance to go to Old Trafford today. And absolutely, enjoy yourselves. Cheer on the team. Make sure you have your green and gold scarves. Most importantly, let's hope Manchester United go out there, get the result, consolidate second place, and a proper sign of progress for this team. Thanks very much, everyone, for watching, and we'll be back next week.